Umpires have already exchanged the lineup cards at home plate. There's Sean heading back to the dugout with Cameron Rupp, who's making the start once again behind the plate. CC's talon down in the Yankees dugout. He's been sitting there for the last several minutes. Pretty good sized crowd. We wondered what it would be like, since we're going to be about an hour and a half later than what the original start time was. But this is a good crowd that's settling in here for tonight's ball game. Didn't really rain a whole lot. There was a lot of lightning.
So this is what you call a rain delay in the United States, is it? I got you. This is not no nor'easter, nothing like that. But
no, it's not a nor'easter.
I think it was because of the thunder and lightning.
It absolutely was. I mean, the cloud cover was pretty thick over the last hour or so. I mean, it did rain, but it didn't rain all that hard, and they were just being extra cautious.
As they should.
As they should. So we're estimating that we're going to get underway in the next few minutes or so. CC Sabathia has had a tough go of it for the New York Yankees. It's surprising, although he has won over 200 games during his major league career. It's surprising to see him dip, or maybe it shouldn't be, because we're seeing it before our eyes with some of the Phillies players, but to dip the way he's dipped over the last several seasons.
Well, and I think the last 3 years, the innings have finally caught up to him. Coming into this year, he was throwing 2,900 innings. Over 15 years, he's averaging roughly 194 innings per year. That's not including 7 years in the playoffs. So he was a power pitcher throwing mid-90s. Now all of a sudden he's dropped down to 91 miles an hour. And I honestly think that the innings have finally caught up to him. That's the reason why his fastball now, he can't blow by guys.
Right.
He has to pinpoint that fastball. He used to have that devastating slider down and in. Now he backdoors it, but his changeup's his best pitch now.
Well, I thought he had a very revealing interview just a couple of days ago in the New York papers, and it's all part of our Geico quote of the day on adjusting to not being the ace. It's hard for me. It's difficult not being the guy, I guess, who I used to be, going deep into games. And for a lot of guys, it is hard to make that transition. Some make it quicker than others, and some are able to extend their careers. Whether he can do that or not, well, that remains to be seen if he can do that. He definitely has the athleticism to probably do it.
Well, and that's one thing even with a hitter. You're so used to having that power numbers every year, but now all of a sudden you get a little older, your velocity drops, and you struggle.
Well, the Yankees have taken the field. CC is strolling out to the mound. Let's take a look at the Phillies starting lineup. It's brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. Leading it off for the Phils is Ben Revere. Cesar Hernandez bats second. Michael Franco playing first base tonight. It's third. Then Ryan Howard, the DH. Jeff Francoeur is the left fielder. Dominic Brown's in right, bats sixth. The bottom third of Blanco, Cameron Rupp, and Freddie Galvis. They will indeed face the 34-year-old left-hander, who is 3-7 on the year, a 5.31 earned run average, making his 15th start. He doesn't walk a lot of guys, but he does allow a lot of hits. And Matt, you said it in the open, 15 home runs for CC Sabathia.
Well, he's been making a lot of mistakes out over the plate. And when you're not throwing as hard as he used to, as you can see the Budweiser scouting report, average velocity 89.4 miles an hour. He's 2-1 versus the Phillies in his career. His changeup has been his best pitch, like I mentioned a few minutes ago. The league is hitting 229. But how about these numbers? Fastball league is hitting 332. Slider hitting 304. So he has to rely on spotting his fastball, the backdoor slider, and getting the swing and miss on changeups.
Well, he has faced the Phillies a handful of times, not only in the regular season, but also in the postseason. In fact, he faced them in 2009 when the Yankees beat the Phils in the World Series. And he also faced them when he was with the Milwaukee Brewers, and the Phillies had success against them there. Time now for our Nissan keys to tonight's ball game.
Well, key number one for me, for sure, is O'Sullivan has to spot his fastball. The league is hitting 356 versus his fastball, and be ready for a mistake pitch from Sabathia, because he has given up 15 home runs this year.
And it may not come the first time through the order. It may happen in the fourth inning, the second time through the order. Well, here's Ben Revere. 3 for 6 in last night's ball game. He has his couple hits against CC Sabathia. So an hour and 20 minutes later, we are underway. And the first pitch is taken up high, and it's 1 ball, no strikes. Look what Ben's done his last 18 games, hitting 377. Up high again, 2-0. Last time he faced the Phillies was 2010. He went 7 innings, allowed 5 hits and 3 walks. 7 strikeouts. Officially, the delay is 1 hour and 21 minutes. Matt, in case you're keeping track of such things.
I just wrote that down, Tom.
Oh, boy. Well, that's not what Ben Revere wants to do. He pops it up near the second base bag. Perella, the second baseman, makes the catch, one away. Well, it's not the skies we saw last night over Wrigley Field. You see some of the photos of the storms that rolled into Chicago last night?
Yeah, it wasn't very pretty.
Oof. Well, it was pretty.
Yeah.
But then the storms were
pretty ugly.
Pretty ugly. Cesar Hernandez starting again at second base tonight. And he takes strike one. It's 0-1. Cesar was 2 for 5 last night. Scored a couple runs. We've seen him hit a lot left-handed. His numbers are good right-handed. And the 0-1 pitch to him. He bunts toward third. Not a bad idea. Headley bare hands throws, not in time. Just not enough on the throw by Chase Headley. And Cesar Hernandez is aboard with a bunt single here in the first. Well, that'll bring Maikel Franco to the plate. Last night, tell you what, he had himself a heck of a night offensively and defensively.
He did. He hit 2 baseballs about 800 feet. First inning, that fastball, then there off the left-hander. Fastball inside, absolutely crushes that 3-0 fastball.
He has been the talk of this stadium for the last 24 hours and beyond. Playing first base tonight. Ryan Sandberg joked a little bit today. He was asked, because Rhino did say last week that he probably wouldn't play first base at all. He might do it in a double switch here and there. Wouldn't start a game at first base. But then he decided, well, I got to get some more right-handers in the lineup, so I'm going to put him over at first and put Andres Blanco over at third, the switch hitter. 1 ball, 1 strike to him. As you can imagine, Rhino has loved everything he has seen from Franco since he came back up. The adjustments he's made from pitch to pitch, from at-bat to at-bat. Off the end of the bat foul. It's 1-2. Last night became the youngest Phillies player since 1900 with 4 hits and 2 home runs in the same game. He also became the first rookie to hit 2 home runs against the Yankees since Al Kaline, great Detroit Tiger outfielder. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Curveball high, 2-2. The Lucky McDonald's Phillies home run jackpot contestant is Sue Rohrer of Claymont, Delaware. Phillies hit a home run in today's ball game. They've hit a home run in 7 straight games. Then Sue will win $100. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Outside, 3-2. What do you got going on with Cesar Hernandez here?
Oh, you got to run. I mean, you just make sure he throws the ball home first. But Maikel's been swinging the bat well. Put him in motion. A little first and third action. Or a home run so Sue can win $100.
Cesar goes. Pitch is back to the screen. Ball 4. And that'll put runners on first and second. I don't think Brian McCann saw that. It just kept on taking off on him.
Well, he set up inside for a fastball, and this fastball sails out of the zone. Brian just couldn't get a glove on it.
So now Ryan Howard. Howard does have 3 hits against Sabathia during the regular season. Phillies last 2 games 14 for 25 with runners in scoring position. We'll talk about a turnaround. Overshift on. Inside, 1-1. To be honest with you, he can get away with throwing 90, can't he? It's more location than anything.
That's what it is. And he has to be down in the zone. When he was throwing 96, 97, he could live up at the belt area. But now he has to rely on hitting those corners and getting that slider over for strikes.
Yeah, maybe he just doesn't have that in him. I don't know if you'd ever call him effectively wild, but maybe that style is hard to fix.
Yeah. But like you said, Tom, he doesn't walk a lot of guys. He gives up a lot of base runners.
1-2 pitch coming to Ryan Howard. Swing and a miss. He tied him up. And there are 2 outs.
You see Brian wants that high fastball out over the plate. 2-seamer inside, and like you said, it tied him up.
Be interesting to track and see how many times he misses his spot, because that'll probably tell you the story about whether he has the commands to be a pitcher that relies on spotting his fastball. That'll bring Jeff Francoeur to the plate. Francoeur's like a caged animal. He's ready to go. Hasn't played in a few games. Hitting .260, 4 home runs, 21 runs batted in. Ball, no strikes. Well, that one was coming back over the plate. Francoeur fouls it down the right field line.
Had a good chat with Jeff today. He was talking about his approach today of versus CC Sabathia, knowing that he's not throwing that hard fastball. So he said he's going to scoot up in front of home plate. He's going to get closer to the front white chalk line.
I'll tell you, he is up a little bit.
And he wants to try to hit that slider before it breaks out of the strike zone.
That one's over for strike. It's 1-2.
And that's the difference, that pitch right there, compared to the old CC. CC used to throw that slider back foot to right-handers. Because he threw so hard, you had to automatically, like it was a panic swing. As you can see right there, quite a bit farther up in front of the home plate.
Sure is. 1-2 to Francoeur. Runners lead off first and second. Fights it off to stay alive. Phillies last night did score a run in the first inning on a home run by Franco, trying to score here. Set the tone once again. .21 pitches for CC Sabathia. Two balls, 2 strikes to Francoeur. And he chops it foul past Pete McCannon. Freddie Galvis is there to protect Greg Murphy.
Murph would have made that play easily with the microphone in the hand.
I could have made that one. That was coming at my speed.
You mean it was going to stop before it got to you?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Again, the 2-2 pitch coming to Francoeur. Swing and a miss. He went fishing Back-to-back strikeouts for Sabathia. They made him work here in the first inning, but nothing to show for it. They'll leave a couple. We'll go to the bottom of the first here at Yankee Stadium. Phillies did threaten in their half of the first, didn't score. Let's take a look at the Yankees lineup. Brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. And that is a neat shot right there. Brett Gardner leads it off in center field, then Chase Headley and Alex Rodriguez. Brian McCann, the catcher, will back cleanup. Carlos Beltran hits fifth. Garrett Jones sixth. The bottom third of Chris Young, D.D. Gregorius, and Jose Perella. And they will face Phillies right-hander Sean O'Sullivan. 1-5, an ERA of 4.79.
Sound like someone just fell off a chair.
What is going on down there?
That was my glove, Tom. I dropped it.
Folks have had a lot of time on their hands here at Yankee Stadium, so get ready, everybody. There's our Budweiser scouting report on O'Sullivan.
89.5 mile an hour fastball, 5-pitch pitcher, averages just under 16 pitches per inning.
Well, and we learned something brand new, and we get all these scouting reports that say, all right, this guy throws a changeup. And we like to be exact, and his changeup is not necessarily a changeup.
Right. I had a chance to talk to him actually on the bus, Sean, and I was asking about his changeup and his split because it's hard to determine. He says actually his changeup is a split finger fastball. He said what he does is he holds a little different grip of the two-seamer, little wider fingers. And he actually what he does is he does an add and subtract on a split finger fastball, which is in a split finger fastball with a two-seam grip. That's the biggest thing. You want that downhill motion.
Right. Well, there are a lot of people that use the split as their changeup. As Gardner takes just a bit outside, it's 2-1.
Yeah. So the two-seamers. This here, what he does, he rotates a little bit, a little wider, and his thumb is actually what controls the add and subtract. If he wants to throw it harder, he squeezes the ball a little harder. If he wants to give more tilt, the thumb goes underneath.
Right.
It's a motion this way.
Would you agree, though, some guys throw their changeup as a split?
I don't know. Tom, that's coming right at us.
And that was coming right at us.
Yeah, so
before the overhang.
So usually a split finger fastball, as you get in as deep as you can, that's how you're holding it.
Right.
Right. And what he does, he just goes a little farther on the two-seamer. He turns it a little bit. And now what he does is he controls it with the thumb here. Tighter squeeze, bigger break, softer squeeze, a little harder.
So you learn something new every day.
Yes, you do.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Gardner. And he fouls it back again. I want to thank Bob Anderson, our stage manager, for turning the light on and off, doing it very effectively on that snoop cam shot. Outside again, 3-2. That one's looped out to left center field. Well, that's more than a loop. That's going all the way to the wall. Jeff Francoeur was shaded over toward the line, and Brett Gardner's aboard with a leadoff double here in the first. Man's been red hot. 4 hits last night. He's now 5 for 5 in the series. And Murph talked about it last night. First inning runs for the Yankees. They scored 2 last night to make it 66. Now they've got a runner in scoring position.
Well, the thing about Brett is he gets his foot down so early, and he just uses a strong upper body for a swing. We saw it last night, the home run to right field. A couple bunts last night, now showing that nice swing for line drive to left center.
Well, look what he's done. 14 hits, 8 RBIs in his last 6 games. And ever since he started as the leadoff hitter, his average is over 290 with an on-base percentage of .354. That's in about 30 games. There's Chase Headley. He's hit in 5 straight. He had 1 hit last night. Ball 1 strike. During the 2015 season, Turkey Hill, the official ice cream of the Phillies, will contribute $100 for each Phillies victory and 5 cents for each carton of Phillies Grand Slam ice cream, sold to support the Phillies youth baseball and softball programs. Ball 1 strike. To the right side. That'll get the runner over to third. Franco covering first. It looks strange to see that. 4-3 on the putout and 1 away for Alex Rodriguez. Well, how 2.5 months has changed the view of Alex Rodriguez. First game he played here at Yankee Stadium this year, coming off the suspension. It was a mixture. A lot of boos, a lot of cheers. Now, there's no boos. Last night he had 1 hit and 4 at bats. And that was a double to left center field. As a runner at third, the Phillies will concede the run here in the bottom of the first. Good pitch by O'Sullivan. No balls, 1 strike. John O'Sullivan, when he first faced the New York Yankees, actually it was his 2nd year. It was with the LA Angels of Anaheim. Pitched in a game against the Yankees one day. Several days later, he was traded to the Kansas City Royals and pitched against the Yankees again. That had to be strange. He was probably dictating the scouting meetings because he had already seen them.
Look at Jerome Williams last year. He pitched against the Oakland A's 3 times and beat them all 3 times.
1 ball, 1 strike to Rodriguez.
There's not one thing wrong with this pitch right there. Making hitters move their feet, uncomfortable at bat. A-Rod should be used to that because that's old school baseball. He's been around long enough.
Oh, then he nearly buckled him with that breaking pitch. 3 balls and 1 strike. He's probably sitting there thinking, I'm thankful that it didn't go over the inside part of the plate. It was awfully close. Brian McCann waits on deck. Fly ball left field. Moving back on it is Francoeur. Tagging is Gardner. And the Yankees will take a 1-0 lead. Sacrifice fly for Rodriguez. 41st RBI of the year. .52 runs scored now for Brett Gardner. And that's 67 first inning runs for the Yankees this year. Murph gave you the stat yesterday. 72 all of last season. We're not even at the midway point. Brian McCann 1 for 3 last night, hit a home run. 0-1 to him.
I mean, 67 runs in the first inning. That's hard to believe.
It's hard to believe.
It really is.
Considering this is their 71st game. One ball, one strike. Alex Rodriguez had a couple good swings in this series so far, even though he has just the one hit to show for it. Got a piece of Brian McCann, hit him in the toe. And he will take his spot over at first, and that'll bring Carlos Beltran to the plate.
Right foot, back foot, or off the toe.
Yeah, just barely. I thought it may have hit Cameron Rupp because McCann didn't react right away. Beltran's ready to go. Beltran playing right field tonight. 7 home runs, 30 runs batted in. He has 30 career home runs against the Phillies, by far the most against any team he's faced. And he takes a strike. It's 0-1. I do believe he just asked Jeff Kellogg, the home plate umpire, whether that pitch was down or not.
Or asking, is that the far as you're going to go?
Ground ball. Diving, stop Franco, and he'll just go to the bag himself, and the side is retired. Well, you can do it at any corner. The Yankees do score a run on a sac fly by Alex Rodriguez. We'll go to the second. Dominic Brown will lead it off when we come back. Marlins. All fans 15 and older will receive the Pennsylvania Auto Theft Prevention Authority travel mug when they come to the ballpark. Get your tickets now by going to Phillies.com. Dominic Brown will lead things off. Dominic was 1 for 5 in last night's ball game. But his defensive play when he threw out Carlos Beltran trying to score from second was a big factor in the Phillies winning last night's game. 1 ball, no strikes. Yankees were on top 2-1 at that point, looking to add on. Outside again, 2-0. That play and Franco's play over a third. Those were 2 huge defensive plays.
Well, Dominic Brown's throw was an absolute strike to home. Chase Headley had no chance of scoring.
Swing and a miss, 2-1. Is that a cutter? It looks like it's just 90 miles an hour is a fastball, but it looks like it's cutting a little bit.
That's a little two-seamer.
Yeah. I'll tell you, he was scary though when he was on top of his game. As big as he is, 6'7", 285 pounds. Strikes Dominic Brown out, so 3 strikeouts in a row for CC Sabathia. 1 gone here in the second inning. Well, while we were sitting here during the rain delay, everybody in the Delaware Valley heard some sad news today. Our good friend Harvey Pollock, 93 years young, passed away today. He's been hospitalized since February, missed a good portion of the Sixers season. Legendary stat guru for the Philadelphia 76ers and the Warriors before. He's the only guy in the NBA that's been around since the beginning of the NBA. He was part of Wilt's 100-point game. He was there. He saw that. He was in 6 different Hall of Fames. And anybody that covered the Sixers, even if it was for a few nights like me back in the days of doing talk radio, you knew who Harvey was, got a chance to meet him, and he always had time for you. And some of his stories were legendary. The amount of players that he saw, the amount of games that he witnessed. And every year he'd scour through the stats from a Sixers season and find the trends and the most interesting numbers you'll ever want to find. Even before stat services, he was the stat service. Also spent time as a movie critic during his off time in the Sixers. And our thoughts and prayers go out to Harvey's family. 93 years old, a Philadelphia treasure. 2 balls, 1 strike to Andres Blanco, and he takes low, 3-1. Blanco getting a chance to start tonight for the 7th time. Outside, ball 4. Second walk issued by Sabathia. See, that's odd. I mean, he came in with only 15 walks, and he's already got 2 here in the first 2 innings.
And on the 2 walks, he's missed pretty bad, but not even close.
He probably could have walked Jeff Francoeur too if he had given him a chance, because you know the one he swung at was, I mean, it's 2 strikes, so you're trying to defend, but that one was tailing out of the strike zone too. Cameron Rupp has hit in 4 straight games, 17 hits in his last 48 at bats. Not too shabby. And he lines that one out towards center field. Gardner misjudged it initially, but able to recover without a problem.
Well, he gets turned around a little bit in the outfield. I don't know if it was knuckling towards him in the outfield. And the ball's hit very hard. He kind of takes a little step in, recovers, and makes a good play.
Well, when Ellsbury comes back, Gardner will move over to left field. inside 1-0. Freddie Galvis batting ninth. Galvis 3 for 5 last night, 5 hits in his last 15 at bats. I bring that up just because he had been struggling so much, but he's starting to wake up from his slumber. Over to third. Headley takes on the short hop. And the Phillies are retired here in the second. No runs, no hits, and 1 man left. Middle of the second. Yankees on top. 1-0. Philly's toughest athlete. The Philly Tough debate intensifies on Breakfast on Broad tomorrow morning from 6 until 8 on the Comcast network. And don't forget, Thursday morning, Phillies catcher Cameron Rupp is waking up with Breakfast on Broad. By the way, tomorrow features John Rothstein, college basketball insider for CBS Sports Network. And what they should do is make sure they ask John about the best restaurants around the country, because the man knows his restaurants. D. Lynam will also be in the studio to talk about the NBA drafts. That one has hit a ton deep to right field. That is majestic. Wow. Garrett Jones has just led off the second with a solo home run.
You want to talk about a guy sitting on a first pitch fastball? There it is. Supposed to be fastball away. O'Sullivan pulls it in, side a little bit. That ball went as high as far.
That was impressive.
Yeah, that was good. It was a good one.
There's Chris Young. Young has hit in 5 straight. By the way, that debate about the toughest athlete. Brian Dawkins and Joe Frazier are going to be part of the debate. They're not debating because, unfortunately, Joe passed away back in 2011. Brian is still alive and kicking and doing great. And he was a tough son of a gun when he was on the football field. Freddie Galvis, long run, makes the catch near the line. And 1 out here in the second. Here's Didi Gregorius. All right, Murph. So Sean O'Sullivan against left-handers. There's a storyline there, and it's been affected in tonight's ball game.
Yeah, it's not a good story if you're a Phillies fan. Both Brett Gardner and Garrett Jones, you saw doing some damage early in this game. Both left-handers for Joe Girardi. In fact, 6 left-handers in Joe Girardi's lineup today, and that is by design because Sean O'Sullivan has struggled against them this season. In his 10 games, there you see the numbers are he's 29 for 88, 330 batting average for left-handed batters against them. 6 doubles, 7 home runs. Now you can make it that 8 home runs and 7 doubles because that's what they've got today. And there's a line shot into right field off the bat of a left-hander as well. Slugging percentage up over 636 at this point for Sean O'Sullivan. So for him to be effective, he needs to kind of control what the left-handed batters are doing against him. This Yankees lineup is chock full of them. They also have the short porch, of course, down there in right field. So it makes a difficult assignment for Sean O'Sullivan for sure.
All right, Matt, why are they so effective, left-handers?
Well, from what I've seen this year is that when he's missing on his two-seamer versus a left-hander, he's missing pretty bad. And like we saw the first pitch to Garrett Jones, he's pulling his fastball and he's missing his target. And that's why going into tonight, the league was hitting 356 versus his fastball. It's all about location.
It's part of the reason why you threw that in the key for tonight's ball game. Well, here is Jose Pirela, who we saw during spring training. He had a concussion in spring training. Yankees thought he would make the team out of spring training. He eventually did come up after he came back from the concussion. He spent more than the 7 days on the disabled list, though. 1 ball, no strikes to him. Just came up from AAA. And he's up because Stephen Drew is on paternity leave. Major League Baseball, when a ball player's wife is about to deliver, gives that player the opportunity to go home and spend some time with her and be with the baby after it's born. 2 balls, no strikes to Pirela.
What is the ruling now? Is it still 72 hours?
3 days, yep.
Yeah, 3 days.
Yep. And you don't have to use all 3, but you have the opportunity to use at least 3. In attendance tonight, former mayor of New York City, Rudy Giuliani. He used to sit next to the Yankee dugout, and in front of him, Jimmy Fallon to the right, Lorne Michaels to the left. Let's get Jimmy Fallon a Phillies hat, although he won't get those seats if he's wearing a Phillies hat. I bet you the Roots, if they were here, they'd be wearing Phillies hats. Balls, 1 strike. Lucky dogs getting those seats, though, huh?
Yeah, those 4 seats probably cost a combined about $10,000.
Bet you they didn't pay for them.
Nope.
Toyota Major League Scoreboard. We've got an update between the Cardinals and the Marlins. They're tied at 3 in the 7th inning. Giancarlo Stanton, another home run. He leads the National League in home runs. Runner goes, pitches hit foul, and I think that got a piece of Cameron Rupp. And it remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. I thought Jim Salisbury said something pretty interesting today on his pregame hit, his pregame live, as we watch this foul ball off his toe.
Left toe.
Yeah. Jimmy said that he talked to Carlos Ruiz today, and he asked Carlos, do you consider yourself still the #1 catcher? And Carlos said absolutely. But Carlos also acknowledged that Cameron Rupp has played terrific behind the plate and at the plate. Pulled toward third, scooped up by Blanco. There's 1 and 2. Just in time and around the horn double play. Boy, that kid can fly, huh? And Cameron Rupp is limping back to the dugout after watching that. Now they're going to hold the defense for a moment. I think he was out at first. I don't think there's any question about it. Now Joe Girardi goes back down the stairs and says, all right, boys, you are free. A 5-4-3 double play. Side is retired. Yankees score another. They lead it 2-0. For all the information, please submit your answer on the subject line. All right, Matt, here we go. What Yankee holds the club record for RBIs in a season with 185? Answer will be revealed a little later on. You want to take a walk out to Monument Park and see if you can figure out who it is?
Might need the binoculars for that one.
Ben Revere leads it off here in the third. Phillies down 2-0. Revere last time up popped out to second base. Chops that one foul behind the plate, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, here is Monument Park. It's a little different than it was back in the old place. There was a little roomier back in the old place, but it is impressive. People get a chance to go in before the ball game. In fact, some of the Phillies players went out there today. Cody Ashe, Cameron Rupp walked out. There's a base hit for Ben Revere. 75th hit of the season, which among leadoff hitters is now 3rd in the National League. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Budweiser is still brewed the hard way. This Bud's for you. How about that, Matt? With all the questions about Ben Revere, and I know that he doesn't get extra base hits the way people would want him to. His on-base percentage isn't as high as people want, but among leadoff hitters, qualifying leadoff hitters, meaning that they have to have X amount of at-bats. As Hernandez takes high, he's 3rd in hits, and mind you, he hasn't been the leadoff hitter the whole year. Odubel Herrera was for a portion of the season. 3rd in hits, 4th in average, and now 6th in runs. So he's holding his own. Now, he is not among the league leaders in on-base percentage. We know that. He's not among the league leaders in OPS. Not a lot of leadoff hitters are.
Right.
But he does get his hits.
That he does. He gets a lot of fastballs.
That one is pulled toward left field. Bad route by Young. It's over his head, going to the wall. And Revere around third, heading for home. Hernandez will stop at second. It's an RBI double, and the Phillies are on the board here in the third inning. Cesar Hernandez is now 2 for 2. I don't know if he would have caught it. It was a terrible route by Chris Young to go after that ball.
Yeah, it kind of takes like the horseshoe route. The ball's hit to his left. He kind of comes in a little bit, and right there he gets beat. It would have been interesting if he would have turned and went at the proper angle. See Ben right there, nice piece of base running, realized that he took a bad route and scores very easily.
Well, out by Cal Franco with a runner at second, and still nobody out. Man, he went hunting for a fastball on that first pitch.
I think that's where a lot of the scouting reports fool a lot of outfielders. They play that he doesn't have a lot of power. You have to respect every single major league ball player because they're going to have somewhat kind of a power-wise. Might be gap power.
Chopper toward the hole, backhanded by Gregorius, flips across his body in time to get Franco. That is not an easy play that Gregorius just made at shortstop, but there's one away. The runner does not advance.
And that play right there, I mean, Franco has been swinging the bat well, but he still has to try to find some way to hit the ball to right field. Does a very nice play here, and he has a very strong arm. I thought Hernandez might have went to third base on the throw. Just watching him right there.
Ryan Howard struck out his first time. He fouls the first pitch back. It's 0-1. Would you call Ryan a guess hitter?
No, I think he sits fastball.
Does he?
Yeah. Tell him it's a good question. I'm going to ask him tomorrow.
Inside, it's 1-2. And I guess I asked that partly because we've watched his entire career basically, and I never know sometimes what a guy is. But he does. I mean, early on in his career, I would have said, yeah, he definitely sits on fastball, but he gets so many breaking pitches now.
I think if a guy strikes out looking a lot, he's a guess hitter.
Runner goes, pitches hit in the air to left field. It's pretty well hit. Young going back. He has room on the track, and he makes the catch. Two outs.
This was almost the same situation in the first inning with the Yankees. Gardner leads off with a double. Chase does a nice job of getting him over to third base, and then A-Rod hits a sac fly. And Hernandez hits a double. Unfortunately, Franco can't advance Hernandez to third. That would have been a sac fly right there.
And now they need a two-out base hit from Francoeur. Hernandez has got a huge lead off second base. Really no need for him to go to third and try to steal third. Although I will say Brian McCann and the catchers for the Yankees lead in wild pitches. Now it's not their fault, obviously. That's why they're called wild pitches to a certain extent. But they've allowed 30 wild pitches this year.
And if Caesar tries to steal third base, they might just give it to him. Frenchie's a dead pull hitter on the ground. Timing's off a little bit. The swing's just a little too long.
Dominic Brown waits on deck. Part of that he hasn't played in the last few days.
Right.
Two balls, two strikes to Francoeur. That one's out toward right field. It's not deep. Beltran over toward the line. He's there, and side is retired. Phillies do get a run on an RBI double by Cesar Hernandez. They leave one in scoring position. We'll head to the bottom of the third. McDonald's with a double cheeseburger and small fry for just $2.50. McDonald's, I'm loving it. By the Pennsylvania Lottery. Benefits older Pennsylvanians every day. And by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop Nissan.com. Well, with Matt Stairs and Greg Murphy, I'm Tom McCarthy. Jimmy Fallon's here as well. So is Rudy Giuliani, Lorne Michaels. Some of the other things you get when you're in those good seats are all of these fine selections, including a wine list, some spirits. You also better have brought your wallet. No schooner, Matt.
Nope. It's priceless.
Here's Brett Gardner. He takes outside. 1 ball, no strikes. Gardner doubled his first time up and scored a run. 21st run that he has scored in the month of June. That's a bullet, and it's not coming back. Now homered 4 times in the last 6 games. The Phillies have not gotten him out in the 2-game series.
You might want to start throwing him a few curveballs, change-ups. Cameron set up away. Pulled that fastball again, down and in. That's 6 straight hits.
6 straight hits.
On 6 straight fastballs. That was gone pretty quick.
Yeah, it was gone off the bat. But it did get out of here fast. 3-1 Yankees on top. No balls, 1 strike to Chase Headley. Headley pulls it right at Maikel Franco. Well, it is a short porch. I mean, some of the balls that we've seen hit out near Yankee Stadium into that porch, some of them wouldn't have mattered. I mean, it would have been out in other ballparks. That one was, what we say, about 10, 12 rows deep?
Yeah, around there. 9.
8 or 9. Rodriguez takes a strike. It's 0-1. Big looping curveball. Well, Sabathia has a 2-run lead now to work with again.
For a left-handed hitter, you have to stand right on top of that dish, become a pull hitter, and make a living with that right field porch.
Base hit for Alex Rodriguez. Frank Core cuts it off. And Rodriguez will stop at first with a 1-out single. The always spectacular Xfinity fireworks will take place after the games on Wednesday, July 1st and Thursday, July 2nd. This year's musical track is recorded by the Philadelphia Orchestra. That's all part of the Brewers series. Tickets can be purchased by going to Phillies.com. Got to stay hydrated. Hot night. McCann takes low. It's 1-0. McCann, last time up, hit by a pitch. He's hit in 4 straight. He's had an RBI in 4 straight games. That's a hot shot into right field. Rodriguez stops at second. Well, as they like to say in the game of baseball, Sean O'Sullivan's not missing many barrels in this ball game. Probably time to make it a little bit of an adjustment.
So I wonder if Murph's down there doing his math. Out of the 6 hits, 5 have been from the lefties.
Huh. Murph?
2 plus 3, carry my 1. Yep. You got it right, man. Thank you.
1 ball, no strikes to Beltran. Beltran last night had 2 doubles in the game. When he reaches 500 doubles, he'll be the 60th Major League player to do that, and he should do it before the end of his contract. He's signed through next year with the Yankees.
This would be a very good time for that add and subtract split finger for a double play ball.
Well, he tried it. It was just a little high. And it's 3-1. Phillies only down by 2. And we're in the bottom of the 3rd after an hour and 21. Right, Matt? Hour 21? Yeah.
Correct. Have it written down right here.
Hour 21-minute rain delay.
A pouring rain.
It'll be out of play down the left field line. Andres Blanco will give it a look. A-Rod back to second. McCann back to first. To say the Yankees have guys that are clogging the bases is an understatement.
Yeah, especially when A-Rod just turned to McCann and gave him the double stop sign. Like, I am not going anywhere.
Line drive caught by Blanco. Unfortunately, Hernandez was shaded over toward the hole at second base, so he couldn't get over to double up. Well, that ball was hit right on the nose. Fortunately for the Phils, Blanco was in the perfect position.
Stings that fastball away. And a pretty good base running. Freeze on the line drive.
Yeah, Freddie was following him.
Yep.
It was kind of an odd sight watching Freddie follow him. Well, here's Garrett Jones, who hit a titanic moonshot. Ball handled by Franco. He ran to about 2 feet from the bag and then flipped it in time to retire. 1 run scores on the home run by Brett Gardner. Yankees have gotten some good swings against Sean O'Sullivan. Not so much for the Phillies against CC Sabathia. He has walked a couple. And as we start the fourth, it'll be Dominic Brown. He struck out his first time up. At the knees, it's 0-1. Fly ball to left field. It's not deep. Young comes in and makes the catch right near the stands. One away. Now it's time to take a look at our T-Mobile game changer. And you know, not much is made about who leads in specific categories anymore in interleague baseball. But CC Sabathia is one of the leaders in victories. Mark Burley leads the way with 30. And Sabathia is fifth with 24. I say that because I was looking at some of the other numbers. You know, Carlos Beltran, 42 interleague home runs. Here's Andres Blanco. He walked his only time up.
I'm a big fan of interleague baseball. When I first came into the league, I enjoyed it, and I still do, because you get an opportunity to see different players, not the same guys day in and day out.
There's a base hit down the left field line for Blanco, heading toward the corner, and he's heading out towards second. 7 doubles now for Andres. That's the first one as a starter. The others have come as a pinch hitter. Cameron Rupp coming up. I'm with you too, Matt, but I can't say that when it first happened I was a fan of it. In fact, I know I wasn't. But now, I guess it's become such a part of the game.
Yeah.
Like anything else, it becomes habitual, and you get used to it. And I like coming to the American League stadiums that we don't see that often. I mean, even though the Phillies got beat up pretty good in Baltimore, I like going down to Camden Yards. I like coming up here.
Yeah. I think I liked it because I had good numbers.
Well,
and plus you were facing teams that weren't as strong. You had an opportunity to hit some more home runs. It's a stat game, we'd call it.
Well, so far, interleague play this year, the American League has the edge. 84 wins, 67 losses, 30 more home runs, 30. Well, look how many more stolen bases. 24 more stolen bases. Phillies have the lead in the all-time series. 13 wins over the Yankees, 12 losses. The Yankees have a much better interleague record. A high fly ball deep to left center field. Going back is Young. It is gone. First big league home run for Cameron Rupp. And the Phillies have tied this baby up at 3. That's a keeper. And I think much like the Cleveland Indians, his teammates out in the bullpen may hold that baseball hostage for something special. And Sue Rohrer of Claymont, Delaware, you've just won $100 thanks to McDonald's home run jackpot. That was a long time coming, but that was a 400-foot moonshot for Cameron Rupp.
That it was. Change up again, middle of the plate. Just out of the reach of Young in left field. Good boy, Cameron. Congratulations.
Justin DeFreitas has the baseball.
What a place to hit it to, Yankee Stadium.
Yeah. I mean, he's been hot.
Yes.
Pulled towards shortstop, Gregorius. And there's 2 outs. Or there are 2 outs.
But don't get me wrong, I would love to see him hit it home in front of our fans. But if you're going to hit a home run, this is a pretty good place to hit one.
Once you hit one, sometimes they say they'll start to come in bunches. Carlos Ruiz will start tomorrow, according to Ryan Sandberg, with Cole Hamels on the mounds. They're very supportive of Cameron Rupp while he's played, too. Chopper knocked down by Jones. That's a fair ball. And Ben Revere is aboard. Well, let's see how they score that. I would score it a hit, but
it's a base hit.
Yep, that's what they scored it.
Just another knock for Ben Revere. Does make a nice sliding play off the end of the glove. Things are going well. You get those knocks.
Yeah, I don't think he even needed to leave his feet on that, honestly. He had plenty of time to field it. It may have even gotten foul. Cesar can't hold up. Brian O'Nora confirms that. 0-1. Well, it's only 2 runs so far, but this is what we talked about with CC Sabathia. Sometimes it would take until the 4th inning, but you can get to him. 4th inning and beyond. Down and in, 2 balls, 1 strike.
We talked about that graph before the game, and the home run he's giving up. He's given up, what, 53 home runs, 54 home runs, and 55 starts. Now, remember, last year, he didn't pitch a full season.
Right.
He only made, what, 8 starts last year? And now he's been bitten by his 16th home run this year.
That's a lot of home runs for CC Sabathia.
It is. It is.
And Larry Rothschild, Joe Girardi, they're going through this with Sabathia. You saw our Geico quote of today. There's another base hit for Hernandez. And he's now 3 for 3. Michael Franco's coming up. Murph, we're talking about left side, right side of the plate for Cesar Hernandez. He's been effective.
Yeah, he's been effective just about on both sides. You're right, Tom. 7 of the last 9 games, Cesar Hernandez has gotten a chance to start. And he has been effective in those starts. He's been one of the big stories. Ryan Sandberg has talked so much about him over the last couple of days because, how it affects Chase Utley and what he's been able to do. His numbers right now, including that hit, 12 for 36 in those last 9 games. Now batting .333. 4 doubles, 6 RBIs. He's walking as well in 39 plate appearances. So he's doing a little bit of everything. He plays a solid defensive side of the ball as well. But, getting a chance to play. And, man, how many times have we talked about a guy who finally is getting an opportunity? We're seeing that with Cameron Rupp as well, to get some consistent at-bats. And all of a sudden, you start to see, them having success. Cesar Hernandez has always been a good hitter at every level he has been at. He's always hit throughout the Phillies organization. They thought he'd be a good hitter at this level as well, and he's really starting to turn things around.
No, he is, and he's the same way with this gentleman hitting right now. Franco with Cameron Rupp. I mean, these guys are getting opportunities to play, and they're taking full advantage of it, which is nice to see.
Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike to Franco.
See how polite I was calling him a young gentleman?
Who, Franco?
Yeah.
Well, he's 22 years old, man. You pretty much called both home runs last night. You got one in your ear with Franco?
You can't go to the well too many times.
All right.
But I will call a double down in left field corner.
Well, you called his base hit to right center field, too.
Yeah. Well, I in my mind I did. I just didn't say it out loud. But I would like to see a double down left field corner.
Must mean I can read your mind. 2 balls, 1 strike to Franco. Runners lead off first and second. Maybe a tad high on that one. It's 2-2. Maikel Franco, after the ball game, talked to Murph about putting together those numbers last night here in New York. He went on to say after the ball game, I know what folks are saying. I'm just trying to play the game the right way. He knows what folks are saying basically about his skills and what he's been able to accomplish. He said last night was special, especially being from the Dominican Republic. It's every kid's dream to play in New York and play well at Yankee Stadium. Three balls, 2 strikes. Runners will be off with 2 men down. Out to right field. Beltran over toward the corner. It may have it. He does! 3-run opposite field home run for Maikel Franco. And the Phillies have taken the lead. They're on top 6-3 here in the top of the 4th inning. It's his 3rd home run in 2 days here at Yankee Stadium. Short porch or not, Phillies will take it.
Well, this just shows how much power he has. Ball up in the zone. And anything down that corner, you never know. 8 or 9 rows deep. Doesn't matter. 3-run homer.
6-3 Phillies. And Ryan Howard is the batter. Swing and a miss, 0-1. Well, numbers don't lie. We talked about it. 1, 2, 3 innings, usually okay for Sabathia. 4th, 5th, 6th, not so much. And here in the 4th, the Phillies have put a 5 spot up on the board. Maikel even said before the ball game his mom and dad were coming down from Boston to watch this game, so they're here. At least that was the plan. They watched the game last night. 0-2 pitch to Howard. Swing and a miss. And Howard has struck out for the 2nd time, but the Phillies put 5 on the board here in the 4th inning. 2 home runs. A 2-run home run by Cameron Rupp, his first major league home run. A 3-run home run by Maikel Franco. It's his 3rd home run in 2 days here at Yankee Stadium. He's kind of taken over. All 3 home runs, different personalities. This one into the short porch and right. Phillies on top 6-3 as we go to the bottom of the 4th. the Philadelphia Phillies by Budweiser, still brewed the hard way. This Bud's for you. And by the Quality Plus Sports Stores. Go further. Now we're in 21-minute rain delay. And the Phillies offense took a couple innings to get rolling. Now they've scored 6 runs. They lead it 6-3. As Sean O'Sullivan will go to work. 6-3 thanks to first Cameron Rupp. He tied it. First Major League home run. And then Maikel Franco, who hit his 3rd home run of this series. Hot shot. Ooh, Blanco's been busy. He can't handle it. He had him too if he picked it right up. That ball was drilled right at him.
He almost makes an unbelievable play. One to get a glove on this is impressive.
Yep.
But right there, he missed the handle.
Wow. Think about how you heard the sound and then when the ball was right there. Now Gregorius with a runner at first. 15 hits combined between the two teams after that one there. And a high breaking ball. It's 1-0. Don't forget the Phillies went to the bullpen early last night. They're not going to be able to do the same thing tonight. I'm not saying that they will.
Usually you don't see the third baseman playing in shallow with Chris Young hitting. But I wonder last night, his attempt to bunt in the 9th inning kind of brought the third baseman in a little bit with Whitey there.
That's a good point.
I mean, the way the ball's flying tonight, if you want to bunt, go right ahead.
It's flying. Blanco's talking to himself out there at third base. He keeps fooling around with his glove. In his mind, he's redoing that play over again. Out of play, 2-1. Andres Blanco is an excellent extra man. I keep thinking what it would have been like to have him on one of those teams that won 5 straight division crowns. Phillies had excellent extra men. I mean, Bruntlett, Wilson Valdez, guys that were utility guys that could play a lot of positions. Two and 2 to Gregorius. Phillies infield set up to turn 2. In the dirt, great play by Rupp. That'll be foul. Boy, they are really hitting some balls hard. Tell you the Major League scoreboard. Mets lead the Brewers 2-1. Curtis Granderson is homer. That game's in the top of the 6th. Mets trail the Nationals by a game and a half in the National League East. You know, they started the year 13-3 and they're 9 games under 500 since. Is that remarkable? 3-2 pitch. Fly ball left field. Jeff Francoeur is there. And back to first goes Chris Young. Saturday at 3:05 when the Phillies take on the Washington Nationals. All fans 14 and under will receive the W.B. Mason collectible Phillies truck. Tickets can be purchased by going to Phillies.com. All part of a 3-game set with the Nats. Be nice to get home after just a 3-day jaunt up here to New York. One of those quirks in the schedule. Jose Pirela will be the batter. He hit it to a double play his last time up.
Well, it is a quick trip, but it's a lot better coming here for 3 than going to Anaheim and playing for 3 than coming back.
I would agree with you on that.
They first came out with the interleague games. We played 16 2-game series that year. 16 of them.
I don't remember that. Who were you with?
Oakland.
Was it just Oakland? Or was it everybody?
Everybody. No, I don't know if it was the interleague, but I know we had 16 2-game series that year. We had one trip. We went to New York, Boston, and Baltimore.
6 days?
Yeah, 2-2-2. Well,
that's silly. Breaking ball, 1 ball or 2 balls, no strikes. There's a strike. It's 2-1. Another foul ball. And it's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
I remember in Toronto, we'd fly from Toronto to the West Coast. We'd stop in Kansas City to fuel up. I think it was just stop to get ribs. We would land in Kansas City and they would bring this great big giant pan of ribs for us.
You just don't hear about teams stopping anywhere anymore.
No.
And you are old. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And a called strike 3. 2 outs. From all those breaking pitches, and then bam, was able to paint that fastball in the inner half. Good job by Sean O'Sullivan there. All right, well, now they got to figure out how to get Brett Gardner out as you watch this strike 3.
It's a good 2-seamer inside. Like you said, Tom, a lot of off-speed pitches, and then surprised him with a heater.
Well, here's one of the reasons why the Yankees have had success with Gardner as the leadoff hitter.
Yeah, fastball inside. That nitro zone for lefties. Throw him about 5 curveballs.
Or a fastball to start him off. On the outside corner, it's 0-1. But I'm with you. There you go. Well, that's a beauty right there, huh?
It is. It's a good pitch. It's a good curveball. And the reason why I like to see off-speed pitches to Brett Gardner, he has such a very good flat swing. And that's a very good curveball right there. But he doesn't have an uppercut swing. His bat goes through the zone very flat. So I'm thinking if you throw him a curveball, he'll clip the bottom of it and pop it up. Or you throw him a changeup, he'll hit out front of home plate.
They're going to try to go inside here, and he fouls it off the glove of Rupp. He challenged him with another fastball inside. Phillies fans, next time you're looking for great seats, get to StubHub, where there are no surprise fees at checkout. That's right. On StubHub, the price you see is the price you pay. StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of Phillies.com. Runner goes, pitches inside, and no throw by Rupp. He just said that was on him. He must not have had a grip.
Well, I mean, Young had a very good jump, and he picked the perfect pitch to steal on. Curveball down the zone. Exchange just bobbled a little bit. Not sure if he would have had a chance to throw him out anyway. I know Cameron has a gun for an arm.
Now you got to get the hitter. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Brett Gardner, although first base is open. How many times you say that about a leadoff hitter? Swing and a miss. He got him. He threw him a changeup. And the side is retired. Well, that splitter that he told you about, Matt, certainly worked out there. We'll go to the 5th with the Phillies up 6-3. Inning after an hour and 21-minute rain delay. Jeff Francoeur leads it off. Takes a strike, and it's 0-1. After an hour and 21-minute rain delay, we were underway at about 8:26. Yeah, 8:26. I was trying to do the math because the official start time was 7:08, but I think they based the number on a official start time of 7:05. 1 ball and 1 strike to Francoeur. Francoeur is struck out. He's fly to right. He was somewhat undecided on whether he wanted to. Ooh, nice play by the ball boy. Outside a bit, and it's 2-2. Another ground ball foul. All right, let's see what he does with this one. All right, that was a little easier. He didn't want to give it to the Phillies fan right away. Over to Gregorius at shortstop, a little roller. And Frank Core's retired, so 1 out. Time now for the Jeep Stump the Fans Trivia Quiz answer. All right, Matt, here we go. What Yankee holds the club record for RBIs in a season with 185?
Lou Gehrig.
Lou Gehrig is correct. Back in 1931. Log back on to Phillies.com to find out if you're the winner of a Phillies prize pack. Well, the numbers are that high. Well, the numbers are that high. Just say Lou Gehrig or Babe Ruth. You're going to be right.
Everything, yeah.
Dominic Brown fouls that one off Brian McCann. And it's 0-1. Been there, done that, Matt?
Many times. Now, as a typical lefty, they'll probably throw a slider right here.
Well, they've kind of shifted the defense after that pitch. And they did, and it's lifted to right field. Beltran going back. He has room, and he makes the catch. 2 outs. He got that one just off the end of the bat. Now 2 away. It'll bring Andres Blanco to the plate. Well, Vern Troyer is in the house. Mini-me. Where are they getting these seats? Enjoying a little ballpark fare.
I think he's got the goatee working.
Yeah, he does. Murph, it's a who's who behind home plate. There's Vern. Vern's closest to you, Murph, and then Jimmy Fallon is behind home plate. I think you should go get your picture taken with Jimmy Fallon.
It's a cornucopia of stars over there. That's true.
Really nice word.
Thank you.
Blanco, did he go? Yes, he did. 0-2. Jimmy Fallon has taken 1 million photos, Murph. I'm telling you, he would take a photo with you.
Well, that would be very nice of him. I'm okay, though.
Come on, Murph, go get a selfie with him.
He's taking selfies. He takes the selfies. Outside, 1-2. Tell him that you both work for NBC.
We're colleagues.
You both use Concur. See if he can help you out with it.
I'll see him at the Christmas party. I'm sure.
1-2 pitch to Blanco. And it's fouled. The bat goes back toward the wall. Vern just said hello to Cameron Rupp. That's outstanding. Cameron is right near him. One-two pitch to Blanco in the dirt, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Bullpen action again for the Yankees. It's Brandon Pinder who pitched in last night's ball game. Over to third. Headley let it play him. Gregorius picks it up, and Blanco will be safe at first. Well, that could be the 16th error of the season for Chase Headley. It depends on how they score that. It's got to be an error, I would think, right?
Yeah, you would think it had the top spin. Kind of set. Yeah, it's going to be an error.
So 16 errors over third base for Chase Headley. Well, Cameron Rupp, last time up. Back in the fourth inning, his first major league home run.
And it came at a perfect time. Moonshot to left field to make the game 3-3. Perfect time to hit your first major league home run. Celebration in the dugout.
They've scored 6 or more runs in 3 consecutive games for the first time since May of last year, and we've got a pitching change here at Yankee Stadium. CC Sabathia's evening is complete. He'll hit the showers, and the right-hander Brandon Pinder will come on to face Cameron Rupp. A pitching change. We'll tell you about the new hurler when we get back. Park to tangle with Clint Dempsey and the Western Conference leading Seattle Sounders. Union versus Sounders. Coverage begins tomorrow night at 6:30 right here, only on Comcast Sportsnet. So Brandon Pinder in his 9th ball game. No wins, no losses, a 2.61 earned run average. Pitched in last night's game. He delivers a strike. It's 0-1.
Pinder's a 2-pitch pitcher, tops out at 95 miles an hour. Just like you saw that last pitch, throws a slider as well. Gave up a couple of knocks last night and an earned run.
Swing and a miss, 0-2. Three straight breaking balls to Cameron Rupp. Four and 2/3, 8 hits, 6 runs for CC Sabathia. If Blanco winds up scoring, it'll be an unearned run because of the error to Headley in the dirt.
CC threw 94 pitches.
I was a little surprised they didn't let him finish it, but you know what? Rupp did hit the home run against him. They want to keep this within reach. Probably figure they're seeing him pretty good. Yeah, that's a lot of pitches. We're not even done with the fifth inning.
Ton of pitches.
Swing and a miss. Rupp is struck out. Side is retired. No runs, no hits. One man left. One error by the Yankees. We'll head to the bottom of the fifth inning. The Phillies maintaining a 3-run lead. Opportunity to help build houses, volunteer, or be a mentor. Visit citizensbank.com/community to learn more. At Citizens Bank, we want to help you bank better. So the next time you have a question about money, don't keep it to yourself. Ask a citizen. Hour and 21-minute rain delay at the outset of this ball game. The storms up here were nowhere near what the storms were back home in Philadelphia or in southern New Jersey. Hope everybody's okay. I know there's a lot of trees down, a lot of people without power. And there were some pretty awesome looking shots on Twitter and on the internet from some folks from down in Center City. Lightning striking, tornadoes touching down. 1 ball, no strikes to Headley, and he takes on the outside corner. It's 1-1. High, 2-1. Headley is 0 for 2. He's grounded out. He's also lined out. Two and 2 to Chase Headley. Last time out, O'Sullivan against the Orioles went 5 innings, allowed 4 hits and a run, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. That one's hit well out toward right center field. Revere on the run, and it is gone. 7th home run of the year for Headley. He's now hitting 6 straight, and it's a 6-4 ball game. for the Yankees tonight, 2 home runs for the Phillies tonight. This joint is jumping.
A split finger fastball, foot down early, stuffed up above the knees. Like you said, Tom, the ball is jumping out of this ballpark.
That is the 100th career home run for Chase Headley. And now Alex Rodriguez is the batter, and Rodriguez takes a strike. It's 0-1. Rodriguez 1 for 1. Sac fly his first time up. A hard single to left center field his last time. Down and away. 1 ball, 1 strike. There's a liner out toward left field, and that one's going to go. Back-to-back home runs. 15 now for Alex Rodriguez. It's a 1-run game.
A-Rod gets a slider up in the zone. It's been around for many, many years, and I've seen that many, many times on a hanging slider. See, the location camera wants it down, right down the middle.
Well, Alex Rodriguez is the subject of our Coors Cold Hard Fact. Murph, he's put together a heck of a year right now for the Yankees.
A heck of a year, and you know, a heck of a career. No matter what you think about Alex Rodriguez, the numbers are staggering. These are numbers in terms of active players and where he ranks in terms of active players. You got a quick glimpse of it right there, but just about everything. Home runs, yep, he's first in home runs. RBIs, runs, hits, extra base hits, total bases, walks. It goes on and on. Ranked first among all active Major League Baseball players and all those lists. It's truly remarkable. There'll always be the doubts. There'll always be the questions about what he was able to accomplish at different parts of his career. But the numbers that he has put up over the course of that career are staggering.
Yeah, those numbers will be long-lasting in baseball. So will the topic of steroids be long-lasting in baseball. And with all that said, he probably will never set foot as a member of the Baseball Hall of Fame. 1 ball, no strikes to Beltran. 0 for 2. And it's 1-1. Elvis Araujo starting to throw in the bullpen for the Phils with 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th. Good curve ball. It's 1-2 to Beltran. This park does play small. Jason Shreve warming for the Yankees. And it certainly has benefited the Phils, but it does play small. There's Araujo.
It's nice, too, as a hitter, you step in that batter's box and know that you don't have to crush one. I mean, like Franco hit the ball to right field. He missed it, but it still went out of the ballpark.
To left field again. Francoeur going back, and he reaches out and can't get it. It's off the wall. Beltran has his 3rd double in the series. Well, the fence was closing pretty quickly on Jeff as he was getting out there.
The pitch up in the zone. Well, yesterday, Carlos hit the ball the same way to left field for a double.
I think O'Sullivan thought it was out, the way he reacted after that pitch was thrown.
Just the reach of Frenchie.
Here comes Ryan Sandberg, and that's going to be it for Sean O'Sullivan. So they're going to go to the bullpen early again here tonight. Both teams are into the bullpen. What did you say last night, Matt? Battle of the bullpens.
Battle of the bullpens.
And here we go again. O'Sullivan's done after 4 1/3 tonight. He's responsible for the runner at second. Now at Phillies.com, voting is exclusively online and available on your computer, tablet, and smartphone. Vote up to 35 times at Phillies.com. Well, a little bit of a predicament for the Phils. Back-to-back home runs in this 5th inning have made it a 1-run game. Yankees have hit 4 home runs. So Ryan Sandberg going to the bullpen early for a 2nd straight night. Elvis Araujo has been called on to face Garrett Jones. Jones has already homered tonight. He's 1 for 2.
Well, and we need Araujo to step up like Diekman did last night and throw a couple innings.
Yeah, Diekman is unavailable tonight. At least that was the thought before the game. 0-1 as that ball is fouled back to the screen. With 2. Out to center field. Revere is under it, makes the catch. Beltran's thinking about tagging, and the throw will stop him in his tracks. 2 outs. And here's Chris Young. Well, by the way, Murph, I applaud you on your efforts to try to go get a selfie with Jimmy Fallon. Stopped by security, and yes, one of the 3 is much larger than Murph is, so he was not going to get past that gentleman.
It was the microphone that scared them off.
Everybody likes the microphone.
Well, yeah, you'd think.
You would think. Well, nice try on your part.
Well, thanks.
Jimmy, we tried to get a selfie with you and Murph.
I didn't want to see Jimmy. I wanted to see you and Mini-Me.
He's gone. He left. Past his bedtime.
He'll be back. Do you want to get more popcorn?
There's Chris Young. 0-1. All right, well, Murph, you'll just have to send out on Twitter your Christmas party photo with you and Jimmy. Oh, 2.
You never know, Tom. Maybe cross paths with Jimmy at some other point. I think Jimmy would have done it.
He would have definitely done it.
He seems
I don't want to speak on his behalf.
Very affable guy.
Yep. Maybe you could just go to work with the Roots one day.
Might have to try that.
That one's ripped down the left field line. It's a fair ball. This is going to be a tie ball game. Beltran will score. Young to second base. The throw is not in time. 6-6 here in the bottom of the fifth inning. Tenth double of the year for Chris Young.
No balls, 2 strikes. A little too much at the plate. You'd like to see that fastball in a little farther and maybe elevated. But give Chris Young some credit for keeping that ball fair.
And now Didi Gregorius. First pitch is in the dirt. It's 1 ball, no strikes. He singled his first time up. Flied out to left his last time. Sean O'Sullivan's line is complete. 6 runs, 6 earned. 10 hits overall and 4 1/3. That one's popped up. Blanco. Ooh, nice try by that young kid. 1 ball and 1 strike. Playable for Ben Revere out in center field. He'll make the catch, and that'll end the 5th inning. We've got a whole new ball game here. We're all square at 6. Both starting pitchers are done. We'll go to the top of the 6th inning. It's a 6-6 game. Confidence. Just over a year from his major league debut, Giles has taken the ball and fired his way into solidifying the 8th inning role. His career ERA hovers around 1.5, and he's setting things up for Jonathan Papelbon, who is closing the door with the best of them. The all-time Phillies saves leader has been nearly perfect in save situations over the last calendar year. His ERA is among the best in the closer category, and it's brought to you by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Well, they might need the Independence Blue Cross Phillies of the week a little later on, but right now it's a 6-6 ball game. As we go to the top of the 6th inning, Chasen Shreve will be the new pitcher for the Yankees. 4-1 with a 1.88 ERA. He pitched in last night's game also.
Yeah, Shreve's a 3-pitch pitcher. Fastball 90 to 93. split finger, and a slider. You don't see very many split finger fastballs from left-handers.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Pinder didn't continue. I know that you got matchups against lefties, but I'm surprised Pinder didn't continue, just based on the way the bullpen was used last night. Now, the Yankees did make an extra move today.
Shocker.
Shocker. They brought up Ryan Mitchell. So they have one extra reliever tonight and one less bench player. No balls and 1 strike to Freddie Galvis as we start the 6th. Inside. Freddie was fooled on that pitch, and it's 1-2. Janmar Gomez is warming up in the pen for the Phils right now. He did not pitch in last night's game. Over toward third, a foul ball. They're like birds looking for food right now at the park. He's not giving in. Play again. It's 1-2. Here is Gomez. Swing and a miss. He got it with a high fastball. 1 out. Phillies games are fun for an entire group, but did you know how charitable they can be? Groups of 25 or more are eligible for fundraising opportunities that benefit their designated cause. It's a great way to raise funds and awareness. Learn more at phillies.com/group tickets. Balls and 1 strike to Ben Revere, who has scored a couple runs tonight. Off the end of the bat, spinning out towards shortstop. Gregorius is up with it. Revere is retired. 2 outs. I think both teams need something like this. You know, for the Yankees, they need Shreve to kind of quiet the Phillies offense. And whether it's Gomez or Araujo, the Phillies need the same when the Yankees are up in the bottom of the 6th.
I'm not sure if Araujo will go back out. He threw 27 pitches last night. They probably brought him in the 5th inning just to get a couple outs.
He got the couple outs. He did allow 1 inherited runner to score. So now Hernandez, 3 for 3 tonight. This is outside. That one got Brian McCann. He's going to need a minute.
It's like a heart punch right here.
Yeah. Top edge of the chest protector. Smashed right off the Under Armour logo. Out toward left center field, and Brett Gardner will close and make the catch. Phillies go down in order for the first time tonight. 1, 2, 3. We'll head to the bottom of the 6th inning. Bottom of the order, number 9 coming up when we come back. Dealer.com. By Jefferson, where health is all we do. Call 1-800-JEFF now or visit jefferson.edu. And by your Delaware Valley Honda dealers. Hurry to your local Del Valle Honda dealer or visit DelValleHondaDealers.com today. Bottom of the 6th inning. Phillies and the Yankees tied at 6. Balls have been flying out of the ballpark here tonight. Genmar Gomez will be next up for the Phils to try to quiet the Yankees' bats. Yankees bullpen certainly did that to the Phillies the last inning and a third. So Gomez will face number 9, Jose Perella. And then the top of the order, Brett Gardner and Chase Headley here in the bottom of the 6th. Well, it's time now for a Hyundai defensive play of the game. First inning, we'll go to first base and Mike Franco.
Carlos hits the ball to Franco to first base, makes a very nice play. Doesn't matter if he's playing third or first. Showing the reins, getting up. All out. Very nice. No panic. That's why it's a defensive play of the game, brought to you by your local Hyundai dealers.
Perella chops it to third, cut off by Blanco. It's a fair ball, one away. And Brett Gardner's coming up. Phillies finally retired Gardner in his last at bat. He struck out swinging.
always like the first pitch, first out for a pitcher.
That one's just outside, 1-0. Quick turnaround tomorrow. Phillies will have Cole Hamels on the mound. Ivan Nova will start for the Yankees, coming back from Tommy John surgery. Same spot, same call. It's 2-0. Justin Wilson, the left-hander, warming up in the pen. Phillies have Franco and Howard to be the first two hitters in the top of the 7th inning.
Gomez's sinker runs so much. I think it'd be safe to say if Cameron Rupp sat right in the middle of the plate, his sinker runs so much it might still go out of the strike zone.
There are a lot of guys, a lot of catchers that say when they have a sinker baller like that, they don't move from right behind the plate. He's trying to set up inside, and it's fouled away. That one almost came right back into the zone for Gardner.
That was going to be that front door sinker. A lot of left-handers will give up on the front door sinker if the ball's up in the zone. It's a lot easier for a left-hander to react on a sinker down and in than it is for a front door sinker elevated a little bit. Just because it's an easier pull with the right hand down to the ball.
3 balls, 2 strikes to Gardner. Ball 4, so he's aboard. Now you got to keep an eye on him. Headley homered his last time up. Gardner is a threat to run. He has stolen 15 bags this year.
Well, back in the 5th inning, he gets a split finger fastball that didn't drop. I guess he didn't subtract enough.
He tried. Outside again, 1 ball, no strikes. So he keeps missing in that same spot. Jeff Nelson, the home plate umpire, is not biting on it. I should say Jeff Kellogg. There he is. He's the crew chief. Brian O'Neill is at first. Alan Porter at second. It's a good visit right now by Freddie Galvis. At least I think it is.
I guess it all depends on the next pitch.
It's a good idea by Freddie Galvis. Freddie's now reminding Gomez that I'm going to cover second. You have to go cover third, because they're playing Headley to pull. Well, he challenged him, and Headley didn't get the ball or get the pitch that he wanted. Or probably got the pitch he wanted. He just didn't hit it. Now it's 3-2. Joey Espada's the third base coach, laying down the signs.
It's interesting to see if they run here. Alex Rodriguez on deck, been swinging the bat pretty good the last couple of games. I would think they would have him in motion.
He goes. Pitch is looped foul down the left field line over the tarp.
Now this is where I'm not a fan of the defense right now. If Gardner's going to be stealing any ball in the play, you're not going to be able to roll double play. So I think Freddie should maybe start coming towards third base a little bit and shifting back up towards the middle a little bit.
There he goes again. The pitch is lined out toward left. Francoeur going back. He got turned around. He missed it. Jeff Francoeur never does that. He just missed that ball, and there's runners on second and third. That's going to be a two-base error. And the Yankees have the go-ahead run at third and Headley at second base.
He gets turned around a little bit right there, but makes the adjustment coming around. Just dropped it. Trying to see if he was peeking a little bit.
He was.
He peeked.
He did. He was looking to see where Gardner was, thinking maybe I could double him up. They have not scored it yet. Now they've put up an error. So it is an E7, which is the right scoring. You just don't see Francoeur do that. So now Alex Rodriguez will be the batter with runners on second and third. Outside, 1-0. Bottom of the sixth inning. Is it early to play the infield in?
I think it is. Especially the way that the Phillies have been swinging the last couple of games. Back up a little bit, give them a run.
And get an out.
And get an out.
210 interleague RBIs. Off the end of the bat, foul.
No, I mean, if he hits the ball hard on the left side, if Gardner's going on contact, which he didn't look like he was going to there. I just think when you bring the infield in the sixth inning, too many things can happen with a bloop single, a base hit to the infield, not hit very hard. So Gardner's not going on contact either.
Because he didn't give any indication on that foul ball.
Right.
If you know he's not going on contact, I'm not sure if you know it now. What about going back halfway?
You can back up a little bit. I mean, let's face it, Alex Rodriguez, when he hits the ball on the ground, he hits it hard.
Right.
So you can back up a little bit, especially on the left side.
Well, there's a wide open hole on the right side. Here comes the 2-2 pitch. Chopper right or left side, and here comes Gardner. He was going on contact, and he is out at the plate. Well, Matt, after all that, it worked.
It worked. I mean, and that's what I'm. I mean, it's 50-50. Gardner didn't get a very good jump. And the reason why I didn't think he was going on contact is because the 2 previous foul balls he didn't go. I mean, he hesitated the hair.
Well, Cameron Rupp is out in front of the plate. He's giving him an angle toward the backside. Now the bat cuts it off a little bit, and then as he has it, he's able to block the plate enough to tag him. So no violation of Rule 7.13.
There's that rule again.
See, Brett Gardner thought maybe he was blocking the play, so that's close.
You're out.
Rhino said earlier in the year when the Phillies had only one left-hander that he's not worried about Gomez with lefties because of his changeup and his sinker. Some close pitches. They're just not called strikes. 2-0. So at a Major League scoreboard, Braves and Nationals. The Nats lead at 3-0. Denard Span has 2 hits, an RBI, and a run scored. They're hot again. The Nationals are.
They're starting to get healthy again.
Yep. Well, the Phillies are going to get out of this right now as Hernandez is up with it and throws to first in time. Well, good job by Gomez. Works around the error by Jeff Francoeur in right field, and he leaves 2. We'll go to the top of the 7th inning here in New York. It's the Phillies 6 and the Yankees 6. Runs that have been hit here tonight. The Yankees have 4 home runs. Phillies, meanwhile, have 2 home runs. Cameron Rupp, a 2-run shot, his first one of his major league career. Mike Franco, a 3-run home run. We're all tied at 6 as we go to the top of the 7th inning. Both starters are out. Neither one lasted the 5th. As we go to the top of the 7th, Mike Franco will lead things off. Justin Wilson is the new pitcher. And Maikel Franco's just been hit by a pitch. Takes a peek out onto the mound. What do you think there, Matt?
I don't like it. Intentional 6-6 game. I mean, McCann set right up the middle. That had a purpose. Nice thing about it is there's no warnings.
Chase Utley got up. You see Chase get up? So now Ryan Howard is up. Justin Wilson's numbers 2-0, a 3.33 ERA. And the first pitch inside to Howard. It's 1-0.
Now when that happens, the next hitter, there's two things that go through your mind. One, I want to hit a ball so far and have fun running around the bases, or I want to hit one back up the middle and spin his cap.
The other part of it too is that there was no showboating at all from Franco. You were talking about how after that play last night, that diving play, he really wanted to smile.
He didn't.
And he didn't.
He hits his home runs. He runs the bases.
Well, it's not the first time that a young guy will have a message sent to him. It's not the last time.
No.
2 balls, 1 strike to Howard. And Howard hits it towards shortstop. Headley's up with it. That'll be a double play. 5-6-3 double play. Now hopefully Franco's not actually limping as he goes back to the dugout. I'm sure it's smarts though.
Yeah, getting hit with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball in the hip, it's going to leave a mark.
Cord chops it foul. 0-1. Well, he knows. He knows.
But the problem is, does he know the reason why? I mean, he gets drilled. Is it because he's been swinging the bat well? Well, it's not his fault that the pitchers are being dumb, leaving pitches out over the plate. He's hitting mistakes.
Outside, 1-2. And a foul tip. Francoeur is struck out. Phillies are retired here in the 7th inning. It's time to stretch at Yankee Stadium. No runs, no hits, and nobody left. We'll be back with the bottom of the 7th right after this. Phillies and the Yankees tied at 6. Every time the Phillies retire, the opposition 1, 2, 3. Comcast will make a contribution to Phillies charities. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. Luis Garcia is the new pitcher for the Phils. 33 games for Garcia, 2-2 with a 3.62 earned run average. And he's on a relief of Jemar Gomez. I thought maybe they'd keep Gomez in, and then maybe he would send a message to the Yankees and have Garcia ready to come in. I don't know if there's an exact science to it or not, Matt.
No, and then again, here again, it's does the bench, the Philadelphia bench, think that that pitch was on purpose?
Oh, I think Larry Bowa's antenna goes up almost immediately on stuff like that.
So if that's the case, you know, do you retaliate? Hit the first hitter, or do you wait? This is a 6-6 ball game, bottom of the 7th. You know what I'm doing if I'm pitching?
Boom.
Thank you.
Well, it is Beltran leading things off. Beltran doubled and scored his last time up, and he takes a fastball high. It's 1-0. Beltran's hitting .325 here in the month of June. Franco ran out to his position. Didn't look like it was bothering him at all, which is a good thing. And a base hit for Beltran down the left field line. Francoeur gets to it quickly. Beltran on his way to second. The throw by Francoeur is not in time. Blanco applied the tag pretty quickly, and he says, take a look at it. Ryan Sandberg is coming up the steps. You had to figure there was a chance there would be a play at first base.
Great shot right there. So he got his foot just in time.
You think his foot got on the bag just in time?
I do. It's very close.
That's an important base runner right there. They're going to say, nope, he got in there in time. I think you're right about that, man. I think his foot looked like it had just barely gotten to the bag. 36,198. So there is an open base at first. And Cameron Rupp going out to talk to Luis Garcia. Outside, 1 ball, no strikes. Hit sharply toward second base, and Hernandez will throw high, and the tag is applied by Franco, and there's one away. 4-3 on the putout. And now Chris Young's coming up.
Nice play by Hernandez to get to the ball. Throw takes him down the line a little bit, but oh, that was very close too.
Really close. First pitch is a breaking ball, and it's 1 ball and no strikes. Rupp's been busy back there. Go ahead run is over at third here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Three and 0.
I know you and Ben have talked about it quite a bit, but I tell you, Cameron does a tremendous job of blocking baseballs day in and day out.
Well, Rhino said that he thinks that's where he's improved even more. I mean, I think he's been good at it, but he said since day one of this year, that's where his improvement has come, is the defensive part of it, calling games and then doing just that behind the plate. Chris Young turned away. That pitch was nowhere near him.
Right down the middle of the plate. It's a 96-mile-an-hour cutter.
Maybe he was trying to sell it. We're not buying.
No.
Inside, ball 4. And here's Didi Gregorius with runners on first and third. Ryan Sandberg coming out.
Rhino's probably out the mound just talking about halfway double play ball or one situation. Good speed at home. You almost got to play the infield in.
Yeah, not great speed at third. No. Beltran.
But he's going to be going on contact.
Right. Freddie Galvis with a few extra words for Luis Garcia. Beltran's over at third. Chris Young's at first. Swing and a miss. It's 0-1. Only 8 opportunities with runners at third and less than 2 outs. But he's gotten them in 5 of the 8 times. Now the 0-2 pitch. In the dirt, blocked by Rupp, 1-2. Toyota Major League scoreboard, bottom of the 6th. It's still 3-0. Nats over the Braves. Popped him up. Playable for Galvis at shortstop. 2 outs. And Jose Pirello will be the batter. With a bullpen really has walked a tightrope over the last couple innings. There's DeFreitas loosening up. Cameron Rupp laying down some signs just in case Young decides to go.
Yep. Both middle infielders, sorry Tom, both the middle infielders will hold their ground and let him steal second base.
Breaking ball, and it's 0-1. I don't know if he went or not. I thought it was a pretty good pitch anyway. Called a strike, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he did go.
Speaking of going, you might see Chris Young try to steal second base here.
Swing and a miss. He got it with a slider. That's a heck of a pitch by Garcia. And the side is retired. No runs, 1 hit, 2 men left. Heck of a job by the Phillies bullpen as they were getting into trouble the last couple innings. They were able to get out of trouble these last couple of innings. We'll move to the 8th inning. Still all tied up at 6. And by Toyota, where will Toyota take you? Visit buyatoyota.com to find out. Toyota, let's go places. Top of the 8th inning. Yankees have threatened the last couple of innings, haven't scored. See what the Phillies can do here in their half of the 8th as the first pitch from Justin Wilson is high and away. 1 ball and no strikes. Dominic Brown is 0 for 3. He has struck out. He's flied to left and he's flied to right. Outside, 2-0. ball 4. So Dominic Brown works out a leadoff walk. Phillies Baseball Academy is open for boys and girls ages 6 to 14 throughout the course of the summer. A couple of things you get a chance to do. You get a chance to get a Phillies Baseball Academy uniform, a trip to Citizens Bank Park, camper reunion night at a Phillies game. Call 610-520-3400 or go to philliescamps.com for more information. Ken Giles loosening up in the pen. Throw over to first. Dominic Brown, who did swipe some bags down in AAA. He had 10 stolen bases. Takes his lead off first. See what Blanco does here. He squares, takes on the outside corner. Hey, by the way, speaking of youth baseball, congratulations to the Suburban One League National Bicentennial guys for winning the Carpenter Cup today. They beat a very talented Jersey Shore squad. Jersey Shore was the defending national champs, or defending Carpenter Cup champs. You don't actually get the national title championship if you win the Carpenter Cup. But a heck of a win today at Citizens Bank Park.
Congratulations.
No balls, 1 strike to Blanco. Runner goes. Pitch is chopped over to first. So look at the runner over to second base. Garrett Jones will get the out at first. 3 unassisted. And 1 away. And Joe Girardi's running out to the mound. Well, he stopped running. He'd run out of the dugout. And he's going to go to the bullpen and bring in the right-hander to face Cameron Rupp. So pitching change here at Yankee Stadium in the top of the 8th inning. Neither manager had the benefit of the starters going deep in this game. Phillies have the go-ahead run in scoring position. We'll be back with Dylan Betances right after this.
Seattle Mariners got a little bit of a scare last night when they lost their slugger Nelson Cruz in the 7th inning to what they were calling a pelvic bone injury. He just simply couldn't get around on his leg anymore. He said after the game he thought he pulled his hamstring while running out a ball, but turns out his pelvic bone was popped out of the socket, so trainers got him back into the, a trainer's table after the game. Were able to pop it back into place, and he was able to be back in the lineup tonight. So Nelson Cruz, a little bit of a scare, but he is fine. He is healthy and playing tonight. And some interesting news coming out of Toronto. Brett Cecil is no longer the closer for the Toronto Blue Jays. That, according to manager John Gibbons, he said that they're just going to try and get him right, so they're going to go with closer by committee for the foreseeable future. Cecil's really been struggling over the last 2 2/3 innings that he has pitched late in games. He's allowed 8 runs, so they decided to go in a different direction. So it's the second time he's been removed as their closer this year, and they're going to go by closer by committee at this point. But certainly that raises some eyebrows, I would say.
That sure does. No balls and 1 strike to Cameron Rupp, and Rupp takes a slider, and it's 0-2. Dylan Betances, 32nd game. He is the closer right now for the Yankees, with Andrew Miller being on the disabled list. 4-0, a 0.26 ERA.
Very good arm. Will top out at 98 miles an hour. Throws a slider between 81 and 84. Very tall and got very good downhill tilt.
Fastball, did he check? Nope. And there are 2 outs. 2 outs here at the top of the 8th, and that'll bring Freddie Galvis up.
Close.
It was close. You see Larry Bow in the background. He was yelling, no, no, no. So now Galvis. First pitch low again. Dominic Brown's at second. Yeah, I think he may have been. Dangerous fellow to be crossed up with.
Especially when you're calling for a 98 mile an hour heater and he throws you a slider.
That could be why Brian McCann, when he's catching, there are 30 wild pitches.
He's expecting the heater. Glove up. Whoop. Slider down. It was actually a pretty good pitch.
That's where he ranks. Wade Davis took forever to give up his first run with the Kansas City Royals. Darren O'Day, we saw him with the Orioles last week. Swing and a miss, 2-1. That pitch that's a big league slider right there.
Filthy. Just the bottom drops out of that slider. Well, you figure you threw a 2-0 slider, 3-1, you might as well throw a slider. I mean, you would think.
Yep. Probably going to throw a 3-2 also.
Well, and that's the difference between the American League Baseball and National League Baseball. And it's been that for years and years and years. American League Baseball almost rather walk you because in the past there was a lot of boppers that hit a lot of home runs. So they didn't want to throw a cookie 2-0 or a cookie 3-1.
Just got a piece of it. 3 balls, 2 strikes, runner at second base. Phillies had a 6-3 lead. The Yankees tied it. And a called strike 3. He got him with a slider right over the heart of the plate. Sod is retired. He gets the 2 batters that he faced here in the 8th. No runs, no hits, 1 man left. 2015 baseball season. There will be 2 winners selected each month of the season, and they will be honored on the field. Nominations are accepted on a rolling basis through August 3rd, 2015. Go to Phillies.com/scholar for more information. You have to have a B average, 3.0 GPA to qualify. Bottom of the 8th inning. Phillies have not had a hit since Maikel Franco's home run. That's 4 innings without a base hit. The Yankees, meanwhile, have had opportunities the last couple of innings, and now they'll have to face Ken Giles. Phillies are down to Giles and then DeFreitas. They've got Papelbon. Diekman, our understanding is that he wouldn't be available tonight. Maybe he can get him one. So Brett Gardner leads it off, and he takes a slider inside, 1-0. He's been on base 3 times tonight. He has a double, a home run. He walked his last time out and was thrown out at the plate. Fans hanging in out on the bleachers. They probably didn't hear anything tonight, huh? Some of the people out there in the bleachers.
They're innocent out there in right field.
That one's in there, 2-1.
Are they allowed to sell alcohol
now?
Well, I know they never used to in right field at the old Yankee Stadium. Right field, you couldn't sell alcohol out there anymore.
Boy, that's a good question. I don't know. Chase Headley's on deck. Headley homered tonight. Three balls, 2 strikes to Gardner. And he fouls it over the screen.
Nice play by Yankee fan wearing Bernie Williams jersey.
Probably a pretty painful play. Got him. Some high heat, 99 on that fastball, 1 away.
This is just good old fashioned baseball right here. Here it is. If you can catch up to it. Nope, it was by you. Gets contact on the helmet though.
Headley homered back in the 5th inning for the Yankees. One of 4 home runs tonight by New York. The Phillies have 2. They appeal the check and they say no swing. It's 2 balls and no strikes. over the Phillies dugout, out of play. And 3-2 to the second straight batter for Ken Giles. Let's see what Giles decides to throw Headley here. He's got such a good slider. He can command it even with the count 3-2. He threw some high heat to Gardner, same spot. Off the hands, that's going to bloop into left center field. And Alex Rodriguez will be the batter. He waves at the slider, and it's 0-1.
Tom, I got to believe that he was sitting dead red fastball.
Oh, he was. How could you not, though? That's the difference in Ken Giles compared to a lot of guys that throw 98, 99. He can command that slider.
That might have been his worst slider he's thrown the whole year.
He probably could have thrown that slider right by Cameron Rupp, and he still would have swung at it. Throws it again. This one was a little higher. A-Rod also homered. He went back to back with Chase Headley in the 5th.
And you got that slider there he can hit down the middle of the plate.
Slower.
Up in the zone.
Just got a piece of it to stay alive. Remains 0-2.
We talked about, you asked me about Ryan Howard, guest hitter.
Yeah.
This gentleman right here is a guest hitter. He will sit on the pitch and take one right down the middle and not even think about swinging.
So most hitters are, I'm up there looking fastball and I'm adjusting everything else.
Right.
The guest hitter's going pitch by pitch saying, okay, let me see if I can outthink the guy behind the plate and what he's calling.
Some guys like Manny Ramirez, he'll step in his first at bat. He will sit on the pitch the whole time. You could throw him 3 fastballs down the middle. He won't even swing.
Swing and a miss. He got him with the slider. So back 2 strikeouts in the inning for Giles. And with 2 away, the batter will be Brian McCann.
I don't care if you're sitting on this pitch right here or not. This is a very good slider that he threw there. Had him way out in front. Speeds up that front shoulder, throws out. No chance. And hitters do pitchers a lot of favors, especially with pitchers that throw extremely hard. A lot of hitters feel like they have to swing harder. Someone throwing 99, 100 miles an hour, doesn't matter how hard you swing. You can take a nice, easy swing. He's generating the power for you. Problem is, you got to square it up.
Well, he was nasty. It took 20 pitches, but he still struck out 3 in the inning. His stuff was electric here tonight. 8 in the books. Top of the order is due up when we come back at the top of the 9th. Phillies Yankees matchup here. Yankee Stadium, only on Pure Auto Insurance presents Phillies post game live. Well, Jimmy Fallon is calling it a night. Not before he's signing some autographs, taking some pictures. Game's just too long for him, Matt. Some people can handle it, some others can't. We go to the top of the 9th inning as Jimmy Fallon finishes up his autographs and his pictures. Vern Troyer is certainly hanging out. And Penn Revere will lead things off. Outside, 1 ball, no strikes. Ben has scored a couple runs. He scored a run back in the 3rd and the 4th. Phillies have not had a hit since the home run by Franco in the 4th. Outside again, 2-0. Oh man, a rocket into right field. Revere's thinking 2 right out of the box, and he's going to get there. He smoked that one right by Garrett Jones. A leadoff double for Ben Revere here in the 9th inning. That's the first hit since that home run by Franco.
Well, this is a missile. Guarding the line. Kind of surprising that they're playing the infield in, especially Jones. We haven't seen Ben bunt a lot towards first base, but I'm glad he was just playing in.
Well, now Cesar Hernandez is up to try to get him over to third base. And he takes a slider low and in. 1 ball, no strikes. I know a meeting out of the mound between McCann and Betances. Is he crossed up again?
Tom, I could be wrong, but I think he did. Fastball? Yep.
He was crossed up again. Two and 0. And he bunts it toward third. It's rolling foul. 2 balls and 1 strike. Can't imagine this guy is that easy to bunt against.
No, not when his fastball moves as much as it does and a good slider. That's why when you get a pitch to bunt, it doesn't have to be a perfect bunt. You just want to make sure you get to third base and make Chase Headley field the ball. The only play he'll have is at first base.
I think that hit him. It did. That'll put runners on first and second. They do appeal whether he pulled the bat back or not. So the Phils have 2 aboard, and Maikel Franco is coming up. They're going to make sure that this ball actually hit Cesar. Oh, man, did it hit him.
Knee.
So the second batter that's been hit. Well, time now for our W. Mason delivery of the game, and this one coming from Maikel Franco.
Back in the 4th inning, our last hit. Gets a fastball up in the zone versus CC Sabathia. Drives it to right field for a 3-run home run. That's why it's a delivery of the game brought to you by WB Mason.
Yeah, at that point, the Phillies had a 6-3 lead, and that was the last hit until Revere's single. And now the hit by pitch for Cesar Hernandez puts 2 on with nobody out for Maikel Franco. The infield is back now, not expecting any kind of a bunt. And a slider upstairs, 1 ball and no strikes. Well, more on Maikel Franco, first Phillies rookie with 10 home runs in 37 or fewer games since Buzz Arlett, 1933. He did it in 33 games. Hey, think about that. Ryan Howard had a tremendous rookie year. Papelbon loosening up in case the Phils do take the lead here. DeFreitas is there on the top of the mound too. Well, he got a pitch to hit. He fouls it back. 2-1. Somebody wake up Joe Girardi. Revere's going. The pitch is rocketed over the glove of Headley at third. It's a fair ball. Revere's going to score. Hernandez is being waved home. The throw is going to be cut off by Gregorius, and the Phillies retake the lead. Maikel Franco comes through again. It's an 8-6 ball game. And what does he say about the hit by pitch? He says, "Take that." That was a bullet. A 2-run double. First time that Betances has given up a run since the 5th of June.
I mean, this is a point right here where Ben does a nice job of touching. Oh,
right on his
the
hand
and the bag.
I'll hang with him.
I think Franco's a little sore with the hip where he got hit by that pitch.
Joe Girardi coming out to talk to the home plate umpire. All right, I'm not sure what he's discussing with him right now. I wonder if they're talking about the collision at third. Now, whether he touched the bag, he definitely touched the bag. We saw that.
Doesn't matter about the collision because the ball was by him.
Right. Yeah, if anything, Headley interfered with Revere. Well, they're going to talk about it, I believe. No, they are not. 2 runs scored. The Phillies are up 8-6. Watch it again.
Right there, he steps in the hand and the bag.
Yeah, he took he didn't wait even a moment. He bam right on the bag.
they're actually going to peel third base.
And the appeal, who was covering it? Third base umpire is Mark Rippinger. He says safe. Now our assumption is it's Revere. Maybe they thought Hernandez missed the bag, but either way, it's a safe call. And Maikel Franco has 5 RBIs for a second consecutive night. Somebody's going to have to start looking up some really impressive numbers for a rookie at Yankee Stadium, at new Yankee Stadium, or in New York against the Yankees. And still nobody out. Up high, 2-0. Larry Rothschild out to the mound now to talk to Betances. Man, how good does that have to feel for Maikel Franco to pick up that kind of? I mean, he laced that ball.
Well, and especially after getting drilled with the 95-mile-an-hour fastball, the previous bat in the hip. But tell you what, though, it almost backfired. Ben trying to steal third base.
Yeah, he did, because he went right into the path of the ball.
And if Chase could have picked that ball, you could have been almost seeing a round-the-horn triple play.
6 for 8, 3 home runs, 10 runs batted in this series. Chopper right side. That'll get Franco over to third. 6-3 on the putout. And one away. And here's Francoeur, who is 0 for 4. Infield is in.
Be interested to see if Frenchie can put the ball in play, if Franco's going to be going on contact or not. The little sore hip.
Oh, man. Oh, that's got to hurt.
That hit his helmet, right?
It hit his shoulder, then his helmet. Man. No, it hit the catcher.
Shoulder and it hit
the catcher, or it hit McCann or the umpire. Yep, it hit McCann. Oh, man. There's these black and blues all over the bodies of these Phillies.
Well, and if there's kids watching, that is the proper technique of getting out of the way of a fastball up and in.
go back to their bullpen. Their closer could not get it done. So now Nick Rumble Low will be the new pitcher. (3-0) with a 2.27 ERA. And another Yankee pitcher, another Yankee makes his major league debut. It's remarkable. Dominic Brown is the batter. And the pitch is a strike on the outside corner. 0-1. Joe Girardi has used 19 pitchers in his pen this year. 19. Counting the starters, he's used 22 different pitchers in the month of June. Matt, we don't have Murph's math skills, but that's a lot. 1 ball, 1 strike. Inside, it's 2-1. Runners lead off first and third. Outside, 3-1. And ball 4. That'll load up the bases. Andres Blanco is going to come out to hit, and Odubel Herrera is going to come out to pinch run for Jeff Francoeur. We hit midnight on the East Coast, and the Phillies and the Yankees are in the top of the 9th inning. The Phillies lead it 8-6 along with Matt Stairs and Greg Murphy. I'm Tom McCarthy. We had an hour and 21-minute rain delay. Phillies had a 6-3 lead. The Yankees blasted their way back to tie it, but the Phillies have scored 2 here in the 9th. They have them loaded against a rookie pitcher, and Andres Blanco waves at a changeup, and it's 0-1. Blanco has been on base 3 times tonight. He doubled back in the 4th inning. And he rips it down the right field line. It is a fair ball going to the corner. The carousel is a moving. 1 run is in. Herrera is going to score. Dominic Brown will score all the way from first. It's a triple for Andres Blanco. 11-6, Phillies on top. Where has this offense been the entire year? Back-to-back nights, the Phillies have reached double digits in runs.
Nice job of getting the barrel up in the fastball. Hit it down the corner. I was watching Dominic Brown run from first base, and he was flying, so was Whitey getting to third base. So it's the excitement right there.
So now the infield is in for Cameron Rupp with 1 man down. Rupp already has his first major league home run in this game. First pitch low. $11 runs on 11 hits for the Phils. Maikel Franco has 5 RBIs again tonight.
Got one more duck on the pond, Tom. Bring him in.
2-2 to Rupp.
Tom, we might see another pitcher from the Yankees tomorrow.
I would think there's every chance we see another pitcher from the Yankees tomorrow, because you got Nova making his season debut as Rupp strikes out after coming back from Tommy John surgery. And he's going to be on some kind of a pitch count, wouldn't you think?
You would think, yeah. It's probably on like 80, 85 pitch count.
I would think so.
But it also depends on how many starts he had in the minor leagues.
Well, he was supposed to make one more start, but they decided to start him here tomorrow. 2 outs. Freddie Galvis is the batter. Galvis takes a strike. It's 0-1. Swing and a miss. Galvis strikes out. Phillies sent 9 men to the plate in the inning. They scored 5 runs for the second time tonight. And for the second time tonight, Maikel Franco was right in the middle. He rips this double down the left field line. Ben Revere and Cesar Hernandez score the go-ahead runs. We'll go to the bottom of the ninth. Field as we begin the bottom of the ninth inning. Odubel Herrera, who pitch ran for Jeff Francoeur, stays in the game to play center, and it's Justin DeFreitas who will come on here in the bottom of the ninth inning. The Phillies need 3 outs to win their 3rd in a row and to take the series from the Yankees, take the first 2 games of this 3-game set. They've had a lot of trouble taking these series against American League teams in recent years. But 3 outs to go. Beltran leads it off. It'll be Beltran, Garrett Jones, and Chris Young. Those are the scheduled hitters for the Yankees. First pitch is at the knee. No, it's not at the knees. Last time the Phillies took a series from an American League team was the Toronto Blue Jays back in 2011. Out of play, 1 ball, 1 strike. Give credit to the Phillies bullpen again tonight. Although Elvis Araujo allowed 1 inherited runner to score, so far 3 2/3 of scoreless baseball for the Phillies bullpen. On a night when the starter went 4 1/3. Outside.
Well, and especially once they had second and third, 1 out.
Absolutely.
A-Rod couldn't get the guys in. And then they had first and third with 1 out.
2 balls, 1 strike. Popped him up. Cameron Rupp off with the mask over toward the on deck circle and out of room. And it's 2-2. Got him. Good breaking ball by DeFreitas. 1 away here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Winds have really started to pick up again. The flags that ring the stadium. Here's Garrett Jones. Jones homered his first time up. 1 for 4. First pitch a bit low. It's 1-0.
See, Tom, it pays to stay for a 5-hour game.
Big smile on a young Phillies fan's face, trying to get that foul ball, and he did. Ben Revere puts it away for the second out here in the 9th inning. And now Chris Young will be the batter. DeFreitas 8 pitches, 2 away. Let's see if he can finish off the Yankees right here. He decided to go with his closer for more than an inning of work tonight, and it backfired. We don't see Betances all that often, but he certainly looked like a different pitcher after sitting through the bottom of the 8th inning and then coming back out in the top of the 9th.
Yeah, slider wasn't as tight.
Was not.
He didn't have that great control with a fastball.
Fly ball left field. Ben Revere is there. He settles under it, and the Phillies are going to walk away with a 2nd straight victory over the Yankees and a 3rd straight win overall. They win it tonight by a final score of 11-6. Maikel Franco. 5 RBIs last night, 5 RBIs tonight. And he fought off being hit by a pitch at one point in this game to help the Phils to the victory. Cameron Rupp, his first major league home run. And hats off to the Phillies bullpen. 4